Thanks for being a part of this session and for sticking around to the end of the conference. We are obviously those of most import in the entire symposium, those who care about Latin and Greek. And I'm Luke Patient, and I'm with Great Hearts America now, but former Latin and Greek teacher. And I'm excited to have a chance. If you made our session the other day when Dr. Pedicone was speaking, this is Dr. Jason Pedicone with the Paideia Institute. We raised the question about the need for flexibility in instruction, the need for online instruction, especially in areas where it's hard to find good teachers, right? And Latin's definitely one of those. But also in the topic of flexibility of pacing. So Jason is the co-founder and president of the Paideia Institute, which has been around for longer than I realized, but really started out with getting direct contact between teachers and students in the realm of the ancient ruins and sites in Rome and Greece, and has really expanded into other areas, all in support of classical language education, and I think more and more on the K through 12 level. So we're really fortunate to have him with us. He took his PhD in classics at Princeton and won many awards and important things, which I won't go into because there's too few of us to do all the public things that are necessary for these sorts of talks. But really, I think he's been forging a way, much like we all have been trying to do with classical education more generally, in this space of classical languages. And I think you'll really profit from some of his experiences and stories if he gets any of those in for this session, but also I think the insights that he has to share with us as the Paideia Institute has been working to develop online resources for Latin instruction. That being said, I'm going to turn it over to you, Jason.
Cool, thanks a lot. Nice to meet you guys. Thanks for coming out. It's a small group, which I kind of like, actually, because it's a little bit more intimate. So just to recognize my two colleagues in the room. So David Hewitt is our classical tours sales manager. So he's, Paideia also runs student travel opportunities to Italy and Greece.
Can I just ask what grade level?
We start at middle school. Yeah, we're one of the brave companies that works with middle school students. Yeah. We did our first tour for Great Hearts last year, Anthem Prep. So if you need a review, talk to Doug Pillsbury, because we arranged for him to meet the Prime Minister of Greece, actually. No, not really. They just went to a museum and he was there, and and he got a selfie with him. So but we're telling that's a service. It's a premium service, but you got to pay extra.
That is how it works in Greece.
Exactly. Yeah. And then Roger Jones is in the back. Roger is our new curriculum sales manager. So if you have specific questions about the curriculum, you can ask me, but you can also ask Roger. Excuse me. So this panel is about teaching Latin online, but it deserves a bit of a backstory. So the Paideia Institute was founded actually to continue an unofficial summer program taught by a Vatican Latinist in Rome. His name was Reginald Foster, and he was this amazing guy who wrote papal encyclicals in Latin by day and taught in the afternoons and offered a free program in the summer for anybody who wanted to come perfect their Latin. And I and the other co-founders of the Institute met in his class in Rome. And when he retired, we founded a nonprofit organization to continue his legacy. So that's how we got started, which meant that originally what we were doing was teaching summer programs in Rome for students who wanted to come over and do Latin sort of in situ. So very much not online education. Through the years, we sort of witnessed they sometimes joke, like its nouns, Latin is declining, right? We witnessed a slow, steady diminuendo, you might say, in many areas. The number of enrollments, the sort of quality of Latin knowledge that the students were showing up with. And this was not just us, the whole field of classics is like experiencing this slow, steady decline. And as we grew and, sort of counterintuitively we grew, we began working more with teachers, and we would hear these stories of like, I have to teach 3 levels at the same time in the same class, and all sorts of crazy situations brought on by a field that is sort of struggling to keep enough students and find teachers too. There's a teacher shortage, and so we sort of and programs were closing. So schools that had storied programs, big like Howard University. One of the historically black college that has produced a lot of important black classicists and scholars recently closed its classics program. So it's like it's a bad time actually in mainstream education for the study of Latin and Greek. Forget about it. It's not even worth time. I mean, like you can count the number of high school Greek programs. Probably not on 2 hands. You need to use your feet, but that would be enough. So it's really so the question is like, what do you do about this? If you are an organization whose mission is to maintain and promote and grow the study of Latin, it's like, well, our resources are limited. We can't go out and just like start programs ex nihilo. And so how do we do it? So we basically began thinking of, okay, what there needs to be is like Netflix for Latin or something like that. There needs to be some kind of online tool where anyone, anywhere, for an affordable monthly subscription can sign on and get really high quality instruction in Latin. So we began to develop this 5 years ago. And we were a small nonprofit and quickly realized, we knew Latin well, but developing a web application and also like mustering the resources to put something of high quality together was daunting. And so we began to experiment and started, and it was always like kind of like a pipe dream. And then in 2020, this little thing happened. I'm not sure if you guys picked up on it. And that changed everything for us. It nearly destroyed our organization because we were entirely leveraged on travel, and brought us to our knees. It led to, we did massive layoffs. We went from a team of like 30 to like 5, and we were just like scraping by. We went from a $5 million operating budget annually to $750,000. So it's just like utter annihilation. And then as we sat there, shivering in the post-apocalyptic ruins of what our organization used to be, the United States government started giving us money. And they did so in massive quantities. And so we were able to actually rebuild our organization as a, not entirely. Eventually our travel came back and people, the world returned to normal, but we got an opportunity to make a major investment in developing these tools. And that's sort of what I'm going to show you guys today. So I'm just going to do a little demo of the product, and then if you have questions, feel free to ask. I'm going to sort of present each thing and sort of explain what problem we were trying to solve. Feel free to interrupt me too, actually. This is a small group. This is not a very formal presentation. So, all right. Our main goal was we wanted to develop something that was like, could stand alone as a fully online curriculum. And we wanted to figure out a way, what our teacher, there are pedagogy wars in Latin. I'm not sure if you're aware. Some people think you have to teach it actively or else you're going to kill the field, and other people think that you have to teach it traditionally or you're going to kill the field, and so Exactly, and everybody's flinging accusations. It's great. I mean, but what sorry, and I have to do this a little bit. This is a little bit of a high-tech solution here because it's not wired for video. So, what we decided that we were going to do is, I mean, what I really believe about good pedagogy is it's not necessarily the methodology; it's the teacher. And it's the quality of the teacher, it's the presence of the teacher in the room to like electrify the students, light the fire. Because really good teachers inspire people to learn. They don't teach material. They inspire people to go teach themselves, right? So what we wanted to do is figure out a way to deliver that in an online way. What we did is basically invested heavily in videos. And so what I'm about to show you is a grammar lesson. And it's, we like to think, a relatively high production value little cartoon teaching Latin grammar. So I'll let you be the judge. And I have to, the way we're going to do the audio is yeah, this is like what happens when classicists start a tech company.
Welcome to our lesson on Latin sentence structure. But first, let's review how English sentences work.
But we already know English. We want to learn Latin.
When learning a new language, it's helpful to make comparisons with something you already know. This allows us to better understand the form that's new by comparing it with a form that's familiar. One thing that's particularly unique in Latin is its sentence structure. Let's first look at how we structure sentences in English. In English, we use the order in which the words are placed to determine the meaning. In the sentence, "The green monkey bites the yellow banana," we know that the monkey is the subject, the one doing the action, because it's placed before the verb. And we know that the monkey is green and that the banana is yellow because of where the adjectives are placed, in this case, directly next to the nouns they describe. In English, if we start to play with this word order, we can change the meaning of the sentence. The yellow monkey bites the green banana. Move more words and the meaning changes even more. However, too many words out of order will leave us with just nonsense. But not so in Latin. Latin doesn't rely on word order as much as English. Instead, it uses the endings of the words to show what jobs those words are doing. Like in soccer, the players can move around the field, but you know what team they're on, whether a person is a goalie, player, referee, or coach, based on the uniform they wear. So if we take the same sentence in Latin, but put the words in any order, we'd know by the endings that prosina, green, describes simia, monkey, and that flawam, yellow, describes the bananam, and we'd know that the monkey is the one doing the action of biting, no matter what order the words are in. Though this gives Latin authors much freedom, a typical sentence is often in this order: subject, direct object, verb. Or you might say that the verb is most often at the end of a sentence. Some say that this gives the effect of suspense in reading Latin. All this to say that you are about to embark on a great journey of learning what all the Latin endings are, which words can wear them, and how these endings can change the meaning in a sentence.
Okay, so that's an example of one of our grammar lessons. And the entire curriculum has about 100 videos like that. And it takes students all the way from absolute beginnings of like how to pronounce the words through the end of the grammar. So they should be ready to take the AP exam, basically, or to take AP Latin when they're done. So it's the equivalent of like 3 years.
Does it usually pace about 3 years out?
We don't know, because it's launching on the Ides of March 15th, in 2 weeks. So this is brand new.
Are you launching with the school?
It's a web app, so it's like a.
Do you have a partner in school that's like, we're going to do this Latin for next year?
We don't really. We have a couple schools that are like piloting it right now, who may be adopting it, like maybe 4 or 5. But we're actually planning on just putting it out there on the internet. It has an individual user application as well. So we're hoping to just get lots of people who want to teach themselves Latin. The grammar that is covered in the lesson is then rehashed in English below with the main ideas written out in text. When you move on to the next module, you're taken, for each video, there's a quiz, which tests the main concepts that were taught in that quiz. And then you progress through the chapter, covering any number of concepts. The first chapter has a lot because we cover pronunciation as well, but it gets less as you go. There's 60 chapters total in the entire book. After you've done all the videos, you reach a reading environment, which is the equivalent of the reading section of the textbook. For those of you who know other Latin textbooks, this is based on the popular Lingua Latina per se illustrata by Hans Orberg, but it's updated and modernized is not the right word totally, but in some ways it is. So this is it's an 80,000 word novel, mystery novel in Latin, which traces a group of students in the 2020s studying abroad in Rome. And we did that for a reason. We wanted to include Latin from the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, as well as antiquity. So it's not a classics course per se, it's a Latin course, and it teaches the whole tradition. We also wanted to feature students from different backgrounds. So like in a lot of the traditional classics books that have a story about people, they're all white and they're all ancient Romans, and like our students are not. So we wanted our students to be able to see themselves in the story, but to not do it in a contrived way that imported modern politics into the ancient world. And so setting in the modern world was a way that we handled that. So you start at the absolute beginning. The text at the beginning is written in a way where it should be transparent for English or Spanish speakers. B litera est, you can probably guess what that means, even if you don't know Latin. B is a letter, A is a letter. It features a Latin glossing feature that gives Latin paraphrases of Latin words in the margin without relying on translation, so students can get extra information as they read. Sometimes also it includes pictures, like for instance, if you click Femina, it shows you a picture of a woman, etc. It also has a built-in dictionary, so like if you double-click a word, it will give you the glossary entry for that word, and teachers will be able to turn that on and off. So some teachers like to have their students have access to just look up words as they go. Other teachers don't want that. And we've built in as well all of the declensions and these populate as you go. So here there's only nouns and irregular verbs, but as you move through the course, more and more tabs appear. And to develop the function of flipping to the back of the book and looking at the chart and then looking back at the thing, you can grab them and pull them down and sort of line them up with whatever you're looking at. Lastly, over in this grammar tab, you can access all of the videos that you just watched and read short summaries of that topic, and then click this little button and see examples of that topic, like where they show up in the text. So those are all the features we built for the reading environment. At the end of each chapter, there's a list of useful vocabulary words, just listed out on a new page. And then it concludes with a history and culture article. These are all, as you can see, these are also sort of spanning the spectrum of history. So this one is the story of handwriting from ancient Rome to the Middle Ages, because the first chapter deals with letters and numbers.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you see this as like the replacement of a textbook, and then there's I know the assumption is that they can do it completely independently, right? Like you can go through this course all by yourself. Is it all autograded?
I'm glad you asked. That's the last tab.
Okay, sorry.
So we have invested a lot of time and money in the development of a customized like analytics platform because the system that we built the course on had a sort of crappy out-of-the-box reporting system that we felt like didn't meet the needs of what we were trying to do. So we developed our own, and that's what this is. So I'll show you how it works. So like, if you look at Jason Pedicone, very diligent student, you can see, so the teacher can log in and look at specific students, compare them, and see the student's progress through the course. The reporting will show you what lessons they've completed and what they haven't, what the average score on all their quizzes so far through those lessons, and what percentage of the videos they've watched. So you can see whether they're watching the videos or not. And then you can drill down and see things like individual quizzes. If you click again, it will show you, come on, internet. Like reports on the quiz scores. You can even see their attempts.
I was going to ask, is there control on that? Like, I may decide they only get one try, and Emily wants to get a 5. Does the teacher have that kind of?
Yeah, you can control whether tests can be. You can control that, whether tests can be taken more than once or only once and then they're done. Yeah, and then if they're taken more than once, you can see it records by student every attempt, so you can see what they wrote first or not. And then my personal favorite is the activity log, because I am into monitoring my students' progress. And you can see everything that every student has done. And so what's wonderful about this is, you can assign one of these chapters for homework and then log in 10 minutes before class, and that Dave didn't even log in last night. He's having trouble at home, or he was out partying with his friends. But Roger just killed it. I mean, he logged in and he did the whole lesson. He watched all the videos. He got 100 on every quiz on the first try. So you can go in the classroom and be like, okay, Roger, you're going to do extra credit enrichment, have fun. Basically, Roger doesn't need a teacher at all, and David and I are going to have to talk because or sit down and deal with that situation. And obviously, also in a classroom where you have kids tracking at different levels, it just enables a totally another level of control for the teacher. I mean, we built this largely we want to be able to walk into schools that don't have Latin programs and say, you need to give your kids access to Latin, even if it's only 2 or 3 kids. So it's designed to work without a teacher. And there is a final component which will really...
Sorry, can I ask you something? On the... oh, shoot, I just forgot my question. I apologize for
It's
that.
okay, it'll come to you. Let me show you something else cool.
I have one question also regarding the activity log. Does it include a keystroke tracker, or is it just,
No.
or do you not have any typing system? Okay, or is there a typing system?
No, it records quiz answers and page views, and then it differentiates those page views. So like if you look at the activities, you can see question answers, completions, video interactions, and logins.
Okay.
Oh, I know what my question was. So since you all are rolling this out and it hasn't gone fully live yet, are you, is there going to be some kind of active ability to reach you all for support?
Yeah. Yeah, this is we're staking the entire future of our institute on this, so we're really paying attention. So yeah, we have like a whole team that just built it, and we have a full web development firm, on retainer to deal with tech stuff. We expect there will be some bumps, like there always are.
Can I ask, one of the things that we've enjoyed seeing are some of the three-dimensional, like, I'm sure you've seen, the Roman house where the kids can go walk around and see things, or going to,
You've been watching those Lego videos, haven't you?
I have. No, I've been building in
Minecraft.
Minecraft. No, yeah, no.
Minecraft crafts.
But there's, are any of your videos actually like, VR, or are they videos of you walking through the street, talking about this beautiful?
It's so funny. It's so funny that you bring this up because, so I have a friend who runs this amazing company called Yourscape. You're almost like, it's like I planted you in the audience to ask the perfect questions. So this guy is amazing. His name's Bernie Frischer, and he's like the world's expert on VR recreations of the ancient world, and he started a virtual tour company. But he's like a super, high-end archaeologist, and so he's working with web developers to make these like historically authentic VR creations of the Forum and Babel and like Egypt and the Acropolis. And we actually have a planned partnership with him for a new feature where we're going to incorporate those VR tours in the textbook. So that's coming. The other thing that's coming that is really important is this, which is still in wireframes, as you can see. But the one thing that the course is really missing right now is really good grammar, morphology, and vocabulary training tool, like the equivalent of like when we all learned, back in the Dark Ages, Latin, we would all have flashcards.
We did it like yesterday. No, I have flashcards.
Yeah, we would just use.
Do you know Anki? No. I used Anki. It's just like the spaced algorithm for.
Yeah, so we're developing that right now. We think that's important, and the goal is eventually to have our own app that comes along with the system that trains, because for Latin, because you can't do immersion really, the students need to do repetitions, a lot of repetitions, and so we want to have an app that tracks with our course and also feeds into our reporting. So you can track not just if the student's doing the basic homework, but also if they're doing drills on their own. And individuate weak spots. The thing that I'm most excited about, which is like somewhat nerdy, but where's the reading environment? So for this, what we're working on now, every time a student looks up a word, it will track that lookup by the student. So it will be like you'll be able to sort of see what word each student looked up as they go, and also by class, and then display those either as a list or as a word cloud. So you could like look at the whole class's dictionary usage and individuate like which is the words they don't know, and then just train those words. So that's
I have a question regarding, is this just one course, or is this broken up into multiple courses? Say like one for like middle school, and if you like continue on to our high school, you would take Latin 2 and 3.
Yeah, so
I guess what I'm asking, I think too, is if you have a pacing guide that would say, because look, I'm thinking about, if this is a Latin 1, 2, and 3 class, we want to say, this is your, I just wrote down, I'm like, okay, so he's got 60 chapters, and that's 20 chapters a year for 10 semesters, 10 chapters, I was doing the math in my head.
Yeah, we're not really sure about that. We for the high school program, we haven't developed a teacher's manual yet. It's really just the tool. And so different people are going to move at different paces. It's set up so that like an individual who's excited about learning Latin, if they want to devote time, could move really quickly. But teachers could also use it as the core curriculum, but then add stuff. Bring in more history and culture, things like that. We have a curriculum for 4th through 6th grade as well, which is called Elementa, and it's the same idea, but it's targeted at.
What you were showing us, was that high school or middle school or?
Yeah, we sort of say the spectra, to use my Latin plural correctly. The spectra are kind of like from 3rd through maybe 7th, 8th grade, depending on the student population. And then the adult course or the high school course would be, from 7th through college.
Is there dependency in terms of like, I could just start the adult class, or I really should have had?
No, the adult class is from 0.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a complete beginner. It starts with how to pronounce the words.
That reading portion that you were showing us, is that a separate course, or is that continuation of one
This?
of the other levels?
This, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, no, this is just, it's just part of the lesson, right? So we're in chapter 1, and
Oh, so it's at the end of each
yeah, so you watch the videos, you understand the concepts in the videos. Ideally, you take the quizzes, and then you do a reading.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, got it.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, so it's actually broken up. You said it was 80,000 words, but it is broken up lesson by lesson to do a unit, do a reading, chunk of reading.
Yeah, it presents the grammar, and then you read something that tests that grammar, then you learn more grammar, and then you read something else.
And I just want to clarify one more time. So all of the feedback's in the tool. Like there's not somebody's, sorry, I'm recording too. You're not sitting there like, okay, if you have questions, call me and I'm gonna, it's very self-contained, right? It's like,
So,
what are those things called? I can't think of if I wanted to learn something online, I could just go do it.
LMS.
Yeah, something like that.
yeah, so like,
Like master.
here's an example of what we do is like if a school signs up, we create a user group for that school, and then they also get a forum. So all of your users would be like enrolled in the forum, and then students could ask questions, and other students, like Reddit, like other students could like answer them, and then the teacher could be like the admin who comes in and says.
But you keep saying the teacher. The teachers meet us, not somebody from.
We could provide a person, actually.
So you could have a person, or we can have our own Latin person.
We could we have done that before with our younger student class where we provide somebody, and obviously with online it's a lot easier. So we have a bullpen of people who could come in and teach for sure.
Does your younger student class, does it look like, is it like this?
The online version is, that's what I was showing you here. Like this is the Elementa, but Elementa was developed as a paper curriculum first, and then we brought it online. So it has a much more robust, there's like a big teacher's manual and like a workbook, and there's like materials that you cut out.
There's a materials book which has like the picture flashcards, activity cutouts, and things like that.
Yeah, whereas this is the high school curriculum was designed as digital first. So we do have a reader in the back, which you can check out. But it's designed to stand on its own, if possible.
What's the moderation settings on that form look like for the teacher side? What moderations can we do?
Good question.
So-and-so can't respond to this, or so-and-so can't make these comments? Because I think we all tried Google Docs at one point.
Yeah, and that didn't go well. I don't actually know, but that's a great point. It's like, I didn't really think of that. We're using a LMS template, so maybe they have that, but I don't really know. It's never occurred to me that a teacher might not want students to be able to like do certain actions, but it makes good sense. I'm gonna write that down.
May I ask what LMS you're using?
LearnDash?
LearnDash.
Yeah.
Does it have a integration to Canvas at all?
Not at the moment. But there might.
Can you export the analytics from the analytic platform onto spreadsheets or something like that? I don't know if that would even be valuable, but is there some kind of export?
Not at the moment,
Okay.
but I think we could probably add that. The analytics to Canva, I said no, but there might just be a native like LearnDash to Canva integration. Canvas. Because LearnDash is very broadly used. It's just a customized, it's a WordPress plugin essentially, and it's just a customized WordPress plugin. So you could probably, yeah. Yes?
Now, what is the pricing of all this? Is it per course? Is it per student?
We're looking at a pricing model that's, it depends on how many students buy it. But, so for individuals, it's gonna be $10 a month. Like if you just buy the tool for yourself, so it'll be $10 a month. For schools, it's like a per student it's an annual rate, which sort of decreases as you add more. So at the start, you're looking at closer to higher rates like $80, $90 per student per year. If you're buying it for 5 kids, if you're buying it for 500, it's much lower, and so it sort of depends. And we're keen. We're really at the beginning here too, so we're keen to have partners and to make it work with people. So we're looking to get users at the moment. Yeah. Any other questions?
Oh, I do. So is most of the coursework that they would do quiz-based, like answering questions like that, or will it ever prompt them to say like, write in your notebook these things and take notes? Is there that kind of interaction that would happen in the program just to get students in the practice of learning in that way?
No, it's all in, like, it's hermetically sealed, you know.
But I guess we could direct them
Yeah,
to
we
do
could.
those things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The words that you clicked on and highlighted the most, I can imagine myself being like, add this to your list of words that I continually have to look at, or you know, those types of things. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like the wiggle room there as well, like as an instructor, where I can see what my students are going through, and that kind of serves as the foundation for the curriculum that we're utilizing, right?
Mhm.
But then I, as an instructor, I can say, all right, today, vocabulary, we're really going to focus on that, or oh, we're going to go on a virtual
Yes.
tour or something.
And where we're headed, some of the features are like provided that it succeeds and we get a user base and there's money, and but it has the potential to give teachers control over the back end of WordPress too. So you would basically get a cloned copy of the curriculum, which you can then edit and add to. So if you want to add a section to the lesson, you can do that. You can make your own quizzes, things like that. Like that's.
I'm curious, so I'm sorry, you guys, just shut us down if we're like taking over the thing. Okay, good. So I have three sort of imaginings, and I'm just curious as to whether you could see this actually working. Like we use Canvas as our platform. That's why I asked the question about Canvas. I could see us saying, you know, we've got 5 assignments for the week. We're going to have you do 3 in this tool. You're going to do this, this, and this, and you're going to do a notebook piece, and then you're going to write a paragraph about life in Rome, or whatever the thing is, or submit a video, or do whatever. Are we able? The pacing is important to. Pacing is important to a teacher who is teaching either in a live space, to be able to say, on Tuesday, we're doing lesson 3, and on Friday, we're doing lesson 5, right? Because otherwise, you've got kids all over the place. And that works for your particular market. It doesn't really work for a school that's on a charter system that's, you know, got this particular manner of doing things. I'm curious as to whether we have that ability to link to that specific lesson, like to say, you know, yes, we're sending you to a tool, but that tool is going to be lesson 1.5, and you're doing this thing there, and then, you know, because I think we can do the work around we can check the tool and say, oh yeah, Johnny did it or Johnny didn't do it, and add that into our gradebook. That's a manual process until we can get that, you know, work out that way. But I'm curious as to whether we can actually pace it in that
Unless
manner.
you lock
What's that?
like a lesson locking, where you can lock the lesson.
Yeah, you can do that. So what?
Dependencies, like they have to have done 1 before they can do 2, you know, those kinds of things.
Yeah, that's all possible. Yeah, so probably what we would do is if like you guys adopted it, we would probably clone it. So there'd be like an online Great Hearts version of the course that like lived on our servers, and then we would
Mess up the rest of your.
yeah, it would like we you know, because like we're probably not going to have it like that in our open thing for all users. So you could have your own, and then, you know, there's even the possibility of like, you know, requesting custom stuff for that course if you like. Yeah, if you become a major sort of partner, it's like, okay, can you guys build an integration? And then we go to our developers and they do it for us. You know?
Can I ask you, you know, we're launching a big project as well where we're developing fully asynchronous autonomous classes, and it's not going to happen overnight, and I'm wondering what your timeline was. You talk about, you know, 2020, and did it start then?
Well,
and
the
it's
idea,
finally launched?
I feel like in these presentations I should get the videos from like 2016, like when we first started doing this, and they were like so bad. We had this like one guy doing them, and it was just like, it was like such a joke. Like, you know, I mean, like this like what you're looking at was like $600,000 over 5 years, a huge project, multiple trial and error. You know, I definitely like would be happy to share war stories. We had some like major problems where, like for instance, we had just like a database breakdown that like delayed a project by a year, and like it came in at like 150% of the budget that we had been planning, and then we were like, oh my god, we have to fire our developer, like this is terrible, and then like, you know, you're in with them, so like extricating, I mean, it's really complicated and really expensive. But the cool thing is now is like we finally figured it out. at least for teaching ancient languages, like we feel confident that we have like a good platform that's going to be good for it. And so like we're doing Greek right now, and Greek is like we're just writing the curriculum, we're going to throw it up and it's done, and we know exactly how to do it, you know. So yeah, exactly.
What does your server load? So would your server be going through WordPress and then we access that WordPress server, or will our school have to have a specific server system?
We have our own server, and we can control the load that it bears based on the number of users we have. So we're going to be figuring that out after the launch. At the moment, we're on like the kind of low plan, but I imagine one of the things that is so exciting to me about this is like, you know, I want to run Facebook ads like targeted by interest that are like, hey, have you ever thought of learning Latin? You know, like that's like the real like, you know, bring it to the people kind of, you know, like boom, here's your like, you know, click here, give us your email address, sign up, then we're going to market to you, you know, like. You know, and like we have these, you can set it up with a CRM so that like when they reach a certain level, they get an email automated. It's like, oh, you've just discovered the accusative case. Like, you know, congratulations, you know, all this stuff. So it's really, you know, it's a question mark, a lot of question marks for us. We're going to figure it all out as we go.
I actually, yeah, thinking about that, what about security? Because, you know, one of our other pieces is we've got to be completely, you know, locked down.
Talk about ads.
FERPA.
You know.
FERPA, all the FERPA stuff. I mean, everything's going to have to be like tight. You can't be sending, you know, like sign up for Greek.
Right. Yeah. Right. We can't be like marketing. Yeah. No. I mean, there'll be. We'll probably work on that with individual partners when they sign up. You know, like obviously on our own site, if you just like are a consumer and you come, we're going to market the bejesus out of you. But like, you know, but like, yeah, if a school, I mean, some schools might be like allow students to say, hey, keep me informed on other opportunities, and there's an opt-in feature. Some schools might not even want that on the table, and you know, it'll sort of depend on what each school.
Have that capability of locking down?
Yeah, we just, you know, it won't even be an option. You know, like it'd be your data, you know. We keep it totally locked down. Nobody has access to it but us and you.
We use like Google single sign-on. Google SSO, is that like could we batch enroll students in a program like this?
Batch enroll in what sense? Just like get a CSV file and yeah, this does that. So the way it works actually is like when you start, you get a group code, and then you'll just have this code and you'll just say, go to this link and put in this code, and then put in your email address, and the student will be like.
Well, the SSO is a different issue, though. I think they're asking is if they assign student Google login information that they're using for all their stuff, and this is probably relevant to you folks too. Could you have your developer do an SSO link so that they can just use the exact same login they're using to get to their other platform?
Right.
For this?
I'm sure. I imagine.
Probably yes.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a standard thing, usually for the developer, it's no problem, and if it's a big enough contract, like, you know, we'd be happy to do it.
And we definitely do not want them being able to log in their own personal.
We're
You
requesting
can
things
tell,
already.
you can tell me about all these broken things, like, oh, that was a bad idea. But we really, you know, we don't want anybody to be able to use the code. We want it to be only just, this is the only way you can get into it, and you can't use Johnny's.
That's what the SSO is. It's basically not other people can't use different logins, so it's a way to. Yeah.
I'm curious what the feedback has been from the schools that piloted it.
Yeah. So one was we need something to do more drilling and repetition with morphology and grammar. Like, this is great for watching the videos, and the quizzes that you've built are okay, but like there needs to be a flashcard function. So that's like where we're thinking the smartphone app is really going to come in handy, because, you know, it's like always in your pocket and you can like send notifications and stuff like that. Other than that, it's been, you know, positive. Students really like the videos. There's a lot of excitement about the diversity of historical content that comes in, that it's not just ancient Rome, but it really shows Latin as a sort of trans-historical medium of communication. So
Follow-up to that real quick is if it's for students that are younger, they may not have a phone or a device to do flashcards on. Will there be something built into the program that they get to set that way as well?
yeah, it's it's essentially LearnDash quizzes. It's just more LearnDash quizzes, but delivered via an app. So I think the way the app will work is it's just a LearnDash course with a bunch of custom quizzes in it. So it'll live on they can do it on their Chromebook if the school provides a Chromebook or whatever.
Pardon, I have to jump in. I'm failing at my one duty in this panel, which is to keep track of time. We're actually out of time, but feel free we can take these conversations into the hallway, or I'm not sure if this room's in use after this, but I thank you all for coming, and please do come and talk with Jason or one of his colleagues if you want to hear more about this particular curriculum and also just the challenges and problems they're trying to solve and developing. So thanks for coming, everyone.
Thanks a lot, guys.